Got a new camera too.
Yeah, and if you take a look at it,
you want me to hold one of these? So
sure, you can hold that one. I'll hold this one. If you look at it, there's not that much difference. They both have a grip where you can hold onto it with your right hand.
Mm-hmm.
They both have a shutter release that's right in the same spot. Some of the dials are the same. If you look at the backs of them, my older one has a smaller screen than this one does, and the smaller the screen, the tougher it is to see what the image is that you just took. But they look very similar. The difference is that this one is an 8 megapixel Canon 20D. This one is a 21 or 22 megapixel Canon 5D Mark II. So if you look at Canon's line of cameras, there's a lower end Canons that are like the Canon XSI, I think is the one that's out right now. It's lower end, but still it's a great camera and will shoot. And that's the one that I was talking about that would be about $800 or so with the lens. But that is on the lower end, the 20Ds, the 30Ds, the 40Ds, the 50Ds, that's in another layer. The ones that are above that might be there's a new 7D that's out, the 5D Mark II, that's one level up, and then the top of the line are the ones that are about $5,000 to $7,000 just for the body itself. And those are the ones that you'll see the sports photographers using, the photojournalists, and those are the really high-end, super heavy-duty cameras. And not only the heavy-duty, they're heavy as well. Mm-hmm. They come down about this far, so they're much bulkier than these.
Now this will also shoot video too, won't it?
This one does shoot video.
Not that it's its main thing, but it can.
Yeah, and what's been interesting is that when this one came out, the 5D Mark II came out and people could start shooting video, the advantage of this is that now you've got a video camera where you have interchangeable lenses, and you can change the aperture settings. So if you have ever seen a photograph where the background is blurred and the thing that you want to be in focus is in focus, that's what you can do now with video, where you can do the exact same thing. And that's something that you really can't do with your standard consumer video camera. And so there are professional photographers, videographers that are using these cameras to shoot videos now, and they're getting some really remarkable results. Personally, I've tried it, but I haven't really gotten into it. I've been using this just for still photography. But the nice thing is that once I have my curiosity is aroused and I want to go for it, I can start shooting a video with this as well.
Well, I have scripts, so you know.
Right.
We should talk later.
Right. There you go. Exactly.
Now, so you've got a bunch of lenses here of different sizes, and just like in film photography, people have different kinds of lenses, different lengths, and so some are telephoto and some are wide angle. You've got a looks like you've got a flash.
Yep. And I don't know if they're seeing all this, but I think if you're getting your first camera and you want a lens that allows you to get a relatively wider range of a focal length. So, for example, I don't have it here, but I have a 28 to 135 lens. That gives me a range of 28 millimeters up to 135 millimeters, which is a pretty broad range. There are others that even have a wider range, 28 to 300. What typically happens, though, when you get a zoom lens like that is that you sacrifice some of the speed of the lens, which means that the f-stop, the aperture setting, will be at a higher number. The higher the number of the aperture setting means that you can't shoot in as low a light as you can with one that's at a lower aperture setting. So, for example, this one, the lens that I have on here is 135 millimeters. It's fixed length. It doesn't go in and out and allow me to get the wider lengths. But it does allow me to go down to f2, which allows me to go into some pretty low light situations and get some really great shots.
Okay.
So lenses are important. You want to get something that allows you to do some zooming at the very outset, and then from there, once you get comfortable with that lens, move on to something else. Once you get a lens, you'll know that you're missing something. You might want to get more of a zoom. You might want to get a wider angle. And once you do that, you try to get as much of the range as possible. So, for example, I have this lens, which is a 16 to 35 millimeter lens, and it lets me get a really wide angle shot, which I really like some of the wide angle shots that I have. That 16 to 35 millimeter, then I have the 28 to 135, and then this one.
I was going to ask about this. Is huge. Here, I'll hold this.
Yeah, you hold that. That's my camera. This. I'll take this little piece off here. This lens starts out, and at this length right here, it's 100 millimeters, and then it goes all the way out to 400 millimeters. So it's a big lens. Really hard to handhold this lens and get a steady shot, which means that if you want to use it at 400 millimeters, you need to use a tripod, and which would be another piece of equipment that every photographer should have, would be a tripod like this. And the tripod, this one has 4 sections to it, so you can, or 3 sections to it, so you can open it up, and it'll get a lot larger. Obviously, these legs come out like that. Everyone's seen that type of thing. You can raise this up, but you want one with a nice ball head on the top that allows you to rotate it in many different directions. And then at the top, there's a spot where the plate can go into, and the plate attaches to the bottom of your camera, and then links in right here, and then you've got a tripod that will allow you to have a very steady camera when you're taking shots either of something moving very quickly or at night.
So we talked earlier about sort of a basic, basic